The chair recognizes Representative Casperson.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just, too, want to put a face on this. I've heard the discussion from the other side about the personal side of this thing. Let me take just a few minutes to put the personal side to this. I don't think there's a person in this chamber that would not agree and not have a heart tugged out of them when they hear of the painful death of someone from something that's gone wrong. I just believe that. I don't believe it's a Republican or Democrat thing at all. I think we all agree that that is horrible. 1991, I was in a 1991, I stood in a doctor's room, and I listened to the doctors tell my dad, your life is over. It's over. They didn't say there's hope. They didn't say they had something he could take to make him feel better. They literally said, it's done. We don't know how much time you have left, but it's done. My dad was diagnosed with Pick's disease, which is a form of Alzheimer's. I sat and watched someone that I think he was my best friend. He was my idol. And I watched that happen. Nobody can be blamed for that. I don't know why the good Lord has allowed these things to happen, but they do. In that case, 12 years, 9 of the 12, he was in a hospital bed, literally a vegetable. So 12 years of research could not deliver something to help him and turn him around. Again, I blame nobody. And I can't understand it, but it happened. In the middle of all that, my wife and I sat in a doctor's room when she was told she has cancer. So we started down the process of what it's going to take to try and solve this problem. And in the midst of that, a very good friend of ours was also in their family, his wife was dealing with cancer. Problem with her was it wasn't caught early enough, and there wasn't enough medicines again to solve the problem. And we watched her struggle and wither away and eventually die a horrible death. My wife and I started down that journey wondering, is that our fate? Is that where we're going? And as the doctors talked to us, the doctors said, we have medication, it's called chemo. And then the doctor went through and described what chemo was going to do to my wife. And the doctor gave us all kinds of warnings. This could be the result. This could be the result. Or this could be the result. But one thing was certain. If she didn't do the chemo, certainly she was staring at cancer that would take her life in a very short period of time. So we chose the chemo. My wife went through something that I don't wish on my worst enemy. And this chemo would drag her down close to death. And then she'd come back. And then it'd drag her down close to death again, and she'd come back. And she did this 4 times. We were blessed. She came through it. She survived it. And she was remarkably a stronger person through this. I don't know how she did it, but she did. I am so grateful for that chemo. 7 years later, we were diagnosed with cancer has come back. Well, now the chemo we took doesn't work. The medication she took after the chemo to try and bring herself back didn't work. But thank God there's another type of chemo. Thank God there's another type of drug she can take. We sat in the doctor's room and they said it again. These are the results. This is what could happen. This could cause such a severe problem, you're really taking a risk here. But we believe these are your options. We chose to do it again. The morning after the elections, I thought I was going to lose my wife. Thank God she came through it. A week later, she did it, had the same problem. We stabilized her. A week later, the same problem. I thought I was going to lose her again. I'm happy to report my wife is doing quite well. And she's coming back. A lot of problems. She's going to go through therapy for a long time because of the chemo, because of what it did to her. But it also saved her life. I just want to leave everybody in this chamber with one thought with this whole thing, because I do sincerely agree with opposing this. But I can tell you this, if I vote yes, based on the last 4 years of what I've seen happen, I know what's going to happen up in my district if I ever decide to run for office somewhere else. It'll be painted that I'm trying to help the big drug companies. I want them to make billions of dollars in profits. That's what Tom Casperson wants. That couldn't be further from the truth. I want the drug companies to do the research because I want them to come up with that cure. I'd love to see them come up with the cure for Alzheimer's so families don't have to go through what I did. And I'm grateful they came up with chemo. And you know what? I knew when my wife took that chemo, it could possibly take her life. So I want to ask everybody in this chamber, my colleagues on the other side, if she had taken the chemo and if we'd have had the negative result, and if it would have taken her life, are you suggesting that a trial lawyer should have the right to come to me and tell me that you were wronged and you have the right to go after this drug company? Because that chemo would have been directly related to the cause of my wife's death. But without it, certain death was imminent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, members, Mr. Pastor, out of respect for the House rules and their traditions, I will remind you specifically, no demonstrations in this House. Thank you.